How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Remote Front Office. Today, we are covering the Detroit Pistons. As always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit the bell. We will be doing more of these videos as they come out. The goal is, right now, we're doing 2 a week. The goal possibly will be 3 a week because I want to make sure I get every team done before the draft lottery happens. Because once the lottery happens, we'll go more in depth as far as teams' drafts. Because then we'll know exactly what picks they have. And all that sort of stuff, the protections and stuff will fall off, and it'll all make a little sense, and we can do a little more drafting. Full transparency, recorded this video twice. My computer went out on me, so this is third time's the charm. Okay. Detroit Pistons, right? Didn't finish with the greatest record. Worst record in the league, actually. Have a couple of holes. Cade didn't play a lot of the year. But I think this team has a good future, right? I think they have the potential. I think with the right moves, they can accelerate this thing a little bit. But I do definitely think it's possible. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility here in the next year or two. They're making a really good play-in push, possibly a playoff push, and they're eventually moving up, right? First, let's start with their pending free agents or free agents to be. First one is going to be Alec Burks. He does have a team option. Personally, I'm picking it up. He's a good spacer. I think he's a good guy for the locker room. I just think all in all, Alec Burks fits what this team should be looking for. And if eventually he gets outplayed by the younger guys, so be it. He can still be a locker room guy, right? Hamidou Diallo is an unrestricted free agent. Personally, I am more than likely letting him walk. Unless you're getting him for a relatively cheap deal, I would say probably $8 million a year. I don't see it personally. I think he'll be good, possibly on maybe teams that are rebuilding, teams that have just the extra room for him to grow. There is a chance that he could develop into something a little more, but as of right now, just from what I've seen, I just don't see the true potential there, right? Corey Joseph is an unrestricted free agent. I am letting him walk. If you guys talk to Pistons fans this year, they despise the Corey Joseph minutes. Personally, I understand if he's there as a locker room guy, if you want to bring him back for that. But other than that, at this point, I'm essentially just opening a roster spot, right? To bring in maybe a different vet, a guy that can possibly get a couple more minutes, a guy that maybe has a little bit more championship experience. That's kind of the direction I would be heading with his roster spot right now, right? Rodney McGruder, I would consider bringing back for the right price. Not looking to overpay him. I don't think he's a top tier guy, obviously, but he could fit an occasional bench role. So probably like $5 to $7 million a year is what I would look at for him. Isaiah Livers has a team option. I would bring him back. I like some of the stints I saw out of him. I still think he has potential to grow into a little bit more of a role. And I think you'll have the roster spots and possibly even the playing time for him to grow a little bit next season. This next name I'm going to butcher to hell, so don't mind me. Eugene Omerici? I have no idea. I butchered the shit out of his last name. He is a team option. From what I've seen and kind of just what I've noticed, I wouldn't be rushing to accept his team option, right? He may have a stint or two, but I don't see the long-term fit with him, right? Personally, I think you just let that roster spot open up, especially if you end up getting more picks and trades. I think that his roster spot and or playing time can be used somewhere else, right? As far as team needs for this team, wings. I'm going to say it again. Wings, right? You have a lot of guards on this roster still. You have Cade, you have Jaden Ivey, you have Killian Hayes. And then you also have a lot of bigs, right? You have Wiseman, you have Bagley, you have Duran, you have Isaiah Stewart. Bogdanovich, I guess, is considered a big / forward, right? You have a lot of those guys, and you don't have guys that play your three, play occasional power forward minutes, play occasional shooting guard minutes, right? That minutes log, I guess, is just so open on this team right now that needs to be priority 1, 2, and 3 this year, right? Next is spacing, obviously. If you guys watched Cade his rookie year, the spacing was atrocious. Got a little bit better last year with adding a Bogdanovich, a Burks, guys like that. It's just at some point you need a guy that's going to go shoot 5 threes a game or maybe even 8 threes a game, and he's going to make 30 to 60% on a night, right? You just like Duncan Robinson before he got paid. You need Eric Gordon. You need just guys that are going to shoot the ball and the other team's nervous it's going in, right? They're just assuming it's going in, right? Backup point guard minutes I still think are really important. I understand Killian Hayes is still on this roster. I just think as far as having a backup point guard that could possibly play next to Cade, if Jaden Ivey's out, or just something like that, where it's a guy that's still spacing your court. I understand Killian Hayes is a defender, a playmaker. He's just not a floor spacer, right? We've understood this. We've come to terms with it. Killian Hayes is not a floor spacer. He plays okay, but he's not a floor spacer. You can't play him next to Cade, right? So I think even maybe a guy that's more of a vet, right, in that role. And you guys will see that kind of with the free agents that I have on their target list. Younger vets is another thing I want to point out. Or I guess you can even rephrase it as vets that play more, right? Minus Bogdanovich, I kind of feel like they'll trade him. He's about 35. I think at this point you're trading him, right? I don't think you're keeping him around until he's 36 and 37 and this team's finally starting to make a playoff push and he's regressing a little bit, right? I don't think you keep him that long, right? So I just think that you need guys kind of how Iggy was when he came to Golden State right away, right? Even a Sean Livingston when he came to Golden State, right? Guys that are still going to play, but guys that have veteran experience, right? Guys that have been around the block. And the last thing I'll say is they need a power forward, right? I understand that you have centers that are playing power forward like Isaiah Stewart, or you have Bogdanovich, who at this age essentially is a power forward. But long term, you're going to need a power forward. Granted, this could all be fixed in the draft. They could get the number 1 pick, have Wemby, boom, you're done. It's fixed, right? But if you don't get Wemby, right, you have to find somebody to play that position. Let's go ahead and go over their free agent targets that I have. So as of right now, projected cap space is $47 million. Obviously, that can change with team options, player options, etc. Alec Burks can obviously swing this one way or the other. Other than that, they don't really have a whole lot of big option guys that are holding up potential salary. First guy I have listed is Dylan Brooks. This was done before the whole LeBron trash talking thing. If anything, I think it's a culture shock, right? It's a culture setter. He's going to play defense. He'll get gritty for you. Is he going to cost you 2 or 3 games because he shoots 3 for 15? Yes, he is. That's just the thing. It's going to happen. But is he a guy that's going to give effort? He's going to care. He's going to care about the win-loss on the season, right? He's going to care about shutting down the other team's best player, right? You could play him at the 3 next to Cade and Jaden Ivey. He can space relatively well, right? So I think that he would fit this team and bring a culture that's needed at this point, right? Next guy I have is Grant Williams. I personally don't think he's leaving Boston unless somebody outbids Boston, right? He's a guy that kind of got lost in the rotation this year, didn't really play much, but he can provide spacing at times, right? We saw it in the playoffs a year or 2 ago, right? Against Milwaukee. He was spacing at that point. He was bodying up Giannis. He's got I hate to use the 2K term for it, but player model to go against wings, right? He's bigger. He obviously can't guard guards for you. He's not going to run around after Trae Young and stuff. But I think that as far as like a wing defender, he can at least be that. He can be a spacer. Again, a culture guy. He's been to the finals. He's been in the playoffs. He can bring some sort of mentality back to you, right? Jalen McDaniels is kind of I don't know if I would call it a big swing, but he's a medium swing, a double, if you will, right? I don't know if Philly will bring him back. I'm assuming so because they traded for him. But he's not quite as polished as his brother, Jaden, who's in Minnesota. But he brings a lot of the same qualities, right? He's a long, rangy wing, has shooting potential, could, in theory, play decent defense. He's not going to play great defense because obviously he was in Charlotte for the first couple of years of his career. So you're going to have to get that winning culture into him. But I think he has the potential to be a solid all-around player, right? Um, Gary Trent Jr. is another guy I consider for this team. He would obviously be more of a shooting guard, and he does have a player option, so I don't know if he would end up coming around. But I think as far as he's not going to play on-ball defense, right? He's very much a lane guy. He is a big deflections guy. So personally, I think he would be more of just kind of a spacer, right? He's going to shoot fairly consistently. He's going to provide spacing. He's going to be able to get open when Cade's throwing him the ball, stuff like that, right? Another guy for them that I, again, after judging these playoffs, the first couple of games, I had Josh Hart down. He has a player option. Unfortunately, I think he's pretty locked into New York at this point, right? He seems very much like a Tibbs guy. That was kind of the reason I wanted to bring him on this team, right? He's going to play good defense. He's going to rebound well for his position / his height. He's going to space the floor. He's going to just bring that winning culture, right? That winning mentality that he got at Villanova, right? Another guy kind of along the winning culture type, Javonte Green. So Javonte Green, as a Bulls fan, I love Javonte Green. Not gonna lie, it's gonna hurt me to see him leave because I don't think we pay him. But he can shoot at times. He's gonna be an offensive rebound machine. He's gonna try on the boards like no other. I understand he's like 6'4" maybe, but the man tries, right? He's getting put back dunks. He's grabbing offensive rebound. He's tipping the ball. He's just everywhere. He's a pesky defender, and I think in Detroit, you're not asking him to play your 4, right? You're asking him to play your 3. And I think that fits him a lot better, right? That shift of not asking him to play such a big man role and you can have him space it out a little bit more, I think would be a really good option in Detroit. Another guy from this Bulls team that I don't think we're paying, Patrick Beverley. He can be that backup point guard that I was talking about earlier. He can be a leader. He can be a vet. Obviously, this is his first year missing the playoffs. So he's going to come back with a vengeance. I think that he just brings that winning culture, winning mentality. He's been in big playoff games. I just think that he can bring that grit to the team, like I was talking about with Dylan Brooks, right? Another guy for them, Dennis Schroeder. This isn't so much a defensive fit. This is a floor spacing fit / if you move Cade over at times, you can play Dennis Schroeder with him. He's not going to be a great defender. He could be an okay playmaker at times, but he's more of a scorer. And I think as far as a bench point guard, I think he would really be good for this team, right? He's been in winning cultures. He's been in bad cultures. I just think that he can bring just sort of that veteran presence, right? That calmness to this team that they just need at this point. Dennis Smith Jr. is another one I picked for this team. Again, not going to be a fantastic defender, but I think with his resurgence this year in Charlotte, I think he's at least worth a swing, right? He's long, he's rangy, he's athletic. I think that at some point you have to take a swing on guys, right? And I think kind of like Jalen McDaniels, I think this is another low risk swing that Detroit could take this year. And the last guy I have is Shake Milton. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's with Philly this year. If you guys have watched a little bit of his game, I like him a lot. He's calm. He has that veteran presence to him. He's going to be a good all-around guy for this team, right? Spacing, shooting, playmaking, a little bit help defensively. I just think all in all, I think that he can be a good guy for this bench that maybe necessarily Philly doesn't prioritize with the new CBA, right? The last thing I will say about Detroit is they do need to look for a new coach. Dwayne Casey got fired last week. The main target I have for them personally is Kenny Atkinson. I think if you guys watched what he did for the Nets back when they did D'Angelo Russell and building that culture, I think he can do that here. I think he can come in from the ground up and build a culture here. Personally, if the Knicks weren't doing so well, I would say Tibbs. But Tibbs, unfortunately, Knicks are doing too well. He's not going anywhere. But I do definitely think that a guy like Kenny Atkinson can come in and maybe not overnight change this culture, right? But over the course of a year, 2 years, this team can really grow as Cade matures, right? But yeah, that is my thoughts on the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, we'll get into more of the trade stuff and the draft stuff as that comes closer. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any other options you would look at for them. And I appreciate you all coming through. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.